Am I live? There we go. Hi guys. So I've got a couple of ideas that I just want to share with you. I thought I'd just quickly do this as a live video because I mean, I I don't know about you guys, but I watch people like Marshall Harrison, no relation, and his the quality of his video is absolutely dreadful and stuff and like that, but it doesn't really hugely affect the enjoyability. Let me know if you do want me to do the videos I normally do where I like record everything. But I quite like this live format. It works quite well for me because I just get to blabber and you can tell me if anything I said was useful or not. Anyway, this is just going to be a really short one, less than 5 minutes, I think. I just want to get a video done. And this is something I've been working on a lot myself recently. I've been learning. I've been trying to move away from the shred stuff, to be honest. I've sort of been doing that since that's been my focus since I started playing the guitar, and I've done other stuff as well. But you suddenly get to a point where you think, well, I'm quite good at some of that stuff. Maybe I'm certainly far from being the best. And I sort of think maybe I haven't spent my time as wisely as I should have done. And actually, some weaknesses in my playing have really emerged or become apparent. They were always there, but because I was so had my blinkers on, shred, 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 legato, legato, alternate picking, ultimate picking. I didn't notice them, or at least they weren't a concern for me. And of course, as probably with most people, these problems were with my chord playing. Cheers. Now, I'm a pianist, and I actually play the church organ as well. That's one of my jobs. So on a theoretical level, in terms of your voice leading and all that stuff, and actually on the piano, my chords are very good, and my lead playing is weak because I've focused on chord playing, of course, by the nature of my job. Um, so I've got the knowledge; it's up here, but actually applying it to the axe has been quite challenging. But recently, I've been working on Above and Below by Holdsworth, and another one, Night Sky by Tim Miller. Now, I say recently, these have really been, I've really been working on these very hard. Now, of course, um, most people will look at if you find a tab for these, they're not difficult in terms of learning the notes. You can learn the notes probably in an afternoon or a weekend if you wanted to. I'm not talking about learning these pieces as in learning the notes. I'm talking about mastering these pieces, trying to actually play those notes as beautifully as possible. I know the notes. I've known the notes for years for these tunes, but I really want to be able to play them, get every note to ring, really know which note is the voice of the chord, the lead voice of the chord, I should say. Which ones are more supporting roles? What's the bass note? This sort of thing. Really thinking about the voices. But anyway, something that's come about in trying to do this, trying to get chords to sound as beautiful as possible, is hand position. And two really, really important things that I've sort of not been practicing what I preach. I've often said these things to students and not actually thought about them myself. So I'm going to share these thoughts now. First one is the actual hand itself. In order to get your chords to sound good, or my students' chords to sound good, doesn't matter who it is, I say to them, mouse. Now, that probably seems completely strange to you. Let me explain what I'm talking about when I say mouse. I'll often demonstrate this with my acoustic guitar, which has, of course, got a sound hole in. I'll say to them, imagine there's a mouse living in your guitar, and there's a block of cheese at the end, or in my case, vegan cheese. And the mouse will, at any point, you never know, he doesn't have a regular timetable. At any point, he's going to get peckish, and he wants to be able to run along the bottom of your neck, get to the cheese, and back, completely unimpeded. So why am I saying this? What's this all about? Well, this sort of gets rid of this baseball grip approach. When people play, and actually Pat Metheny does do this, but of course, as with any technique, there are people who can do this, break the rules well, and it's the same with Dizzy Gillespie and what's his name, Louis Armstrong, with these puffed out trumpet cheeks. The first thing a trumpet teacher will tell you is not to puff your cheeks out, that people can do it very well, and actually when Pat does it, it's because he's normally putting his thumb over the top, which, of course, there are exceptions to this rule. But anyway, it's actually less to do with your hand position, more to do with your thumb position. So if I spin round here, and And so look, let me point this neck right at your, that's the headless system, it's nice, isn't it? Keys all hip shot. If I point, which camera is it at? There we go. If you're looking right down the neck now, and I say cheese, okay, or mouse, this mouse is going to run along the neck and he's going to get stuck on my hand. Now, if I bring my hand into the correct position, which would be something like that, you now see that this mouse has a gap to run through here, and it's the thumb position that's changed. I'm actually slightly below center. I don't have a skunk stripe on this neck, so you can't see, but the thumb is below the center of the neck. Can you see that just about? Okay. At least the joint of the thumb, which is where I contact the neck. If you play with the tip of your thumb, you need the tip of your thumb there. And you'll be amazed at what this does, because look, if you look at the angle of my fingers, if I take my, let's take a C chord. There's a C chord. With the mouse, look at how the tips of the fingers are almost 90 degrees to the neck. Sorry, to the fingerboard. Now, if I get rid of that gap, here's the gap here for the mouse. If I start to hug the neck, then my fingers get pulled downwards and they start touching the other strings, which is the worst thing in the world, because you just get noise. Now, if I think of the mouse, my fingers come all the way under. My wrist is bent, not uncomfortably. My wrist is a little bit bent, and hello viewer, and my thumb's at the bottom of the neck, just there. Mouse can crawl underneath. You can see the gap here. Here's where the mouse will come out. He can crawl all the way under there, and I've got perfect finger position. Okay, so that's the first thing. And the second thing, and now this is for those stretchy chords. This is the one for the title of the video. Here we go. For the stretchy chords, what you need to do, and this is a weird thing, is you need to get your elbow. I'm going to put the guitar down for a second. For a stretchy chord, this is a hugely life-changing tip if it works for you, which it does for me, and most of my students find this very useful. You're going to, even though you're holding your guitar, you're going to bring your elbow around the front, and you're actually going to put your elbow as close to your belly button, don't do yourself an injury, as possible. Now what this does is, of course, you can see my fingers are now pointing along the neck of the guitar. Hi, Unique Sekar Kinanthi. Nice to have you here. Yes, we're just talking about some stretchy chords here. You can see my fingers are now pointing along the guitar, which means I'm going to be able to stretch a lot easier. Now watch what happens to my fingers as I return my elbow back to what we would think of as a traditional playing position. Right, so my fingers cannot reach anywhere near as many frets as when my elbow is, it's the belly button or your groin, wherever you can get to. I won't get too graphic, don't worry. But my elbow is right tucked around the back of the guitar. Now, to make this a bit more comfortable, your guitar might actually need to swing forward a little bit as well. So I'll take a chord like this one here from Above and Below, which I've been working on. If I try and play that chord in the traditional way, see, my elbow naturally wants to go to there. That's the traditional way of playing this chord. Trying to keep my elbow out. Oh, it's very uncomfortable. Now watch how, just bringing my elbow in, my hand's relaxed. I don't know if you can actually see that. The tension in my hand there versus a nice relaxed hand here. And hopefully, if I think of the mouse as well, see that gap? And here, I've got every note ringing nicely. Okay. What's some more stretchy chords? I mean, with this position, just to play a silly chord, I don't know if anyone's seen Juan Dhas. What's his surname? If you search Juan Dhas guitar, Juan as in Juan, he's got a monster. Yeah, it is comfortable. Unique Sekar Kinanthi. It's very comfortable. This is so much more comfortable. I know it looks strange. We're just talking about certain chords. Now, you wouldn't play like this the whole time, of course. That isn't comfortable to do it all the time. But when I'm trying to play a chord in a progression and all of a sudden it's too stretchy for me, I'm bringing my elbow across just briefly towards my belly button and it's so much more comfortable than if I try and do it without. I mean, I just that hurts, and actually I'm feeling pain in my thumb there, like if you try and touch your toes, that sort of pain you get in your legs. I'm feeling that in my thumb. Now, that might be nice every now and then, a little bit of a stretch, but if you get that all the time, of course, you're running the risk of getting all sorts of injuries. So just bringing the guitar slightly forward, tucking your elbow behind it, on your belly button or your groin, and you can get a huge stretch. But Juan Dhas, this Chandra, I think it's Juan Dhas Chandra. Check him out. He's got an album called Embrace Clarity, I think it's called. I'm really bad with track names, guys, because I just listen to music without looking at what the songs are called. But you should see this guy's. I think he actually got lessons with Tim Miller. You should see the stretches this guy's doing. Follow him on Facebook. I'll put him in the comment below. I don't know him personally. I'm just being very impressed by this guy. But he's playing all this sort of stuff, and you'll notice his elbow won't be all the way up here when he's doing it. It'll be tucked away here. Anyway, so hopefully that's useful. So just to summarise, the two things are the mouse, i.e. the mouse needs to be able to run underneath your guitar, get the cheese, and run back without your hand being in the way. So that's your hand in the way there. Mouse can't run through there, and that would be a nice gap for the mouse. You can see my finger wiggling here. I can't find the camera. There, okay. So there's a nice space there. That puts your fingers at a lovely angle. And secondly, for stretchy chords, elbow to the groin and the mouse as well at the same time. That's another Holdsworth one, actually. That one. Thanks, I'm pleased you're finding this useful. Yes, I found this hugely useful myself. I'm replying to a comment here, I'm not just talking to myself. I find this hugely useful myself. Now, actually, what I do, guys, I'll finish on this point. When I'm learning a piece of music, I actually print the score off, regardless of whether I know the notes. I print the score off, and I almost write things down. Like I'll write mouse on my page for certain chords, and I know to make sure that I've got that gap there. Otherwise, I get noises like that. If this is what the chord's supposed to sound like. I'll go clean, actually, so you can hear better. Now, if I don't do the mouse on a chord like that, I'm going to get this sort of noise. I'm only getting two notes there because my fingers are collapsed. Now, if I do the mouse, I can hear that third note. Just makes sure that the notes ring a lot nicer. And that holds with what I was playing before. What was that? So that's 7 on the A string, 4 on the D string, 6 on the G string, and 3 on the B string. And look at that stretch. Now, I would never be able to play that one. Keeping my fingers. Hear that noise there? I'm not deliberately doing that. I could probably. There you go. That's really hard work though. But as soon as my elbow's tucked into my groin, ta-da! So I would write that on my piece of music. I'd just write groin or elbow or something like that. And I would know at that point in the piece, I need to do this. So if you took the guitar away from me, if it was an invisible guitar, I'd be playing the guitar like this. I'd be playing the piece of music and I'd be doing this sort of thing. I'm not just sitting there still in the perfect guitar position like this. That's not how you play the guitar. You can't do these stretchy things like that. We've got to be doing this sort of thing. Of course, you've got to keep as much of your posture perfect as possible, nice straight backs, keep your spine nice and straight, all that sort of thing. But bringing this elbow through and thinking of that mouse. So those are some things which I found hugely have improved my chord game. It's still a big weakness for me. I'm certainly not terrible. I probably I can play some nice things, and I'm pleased with my progress. I'm definitely progressing. I'm not being hard on myself. But it's the weakest part of my guitar game. Doesn't mean it's weak, it's just the weakest. And it's very important to sort of address those weaknesses and try and keep your game as level as possible across the board. So hopefully that's been useful for you. think of your mouse and think of your groin, your mouse and your groin, or your cheesy groin, whatever you want to say. That's going to help you remember this. Comments down below. I don't even. I'm not even. Laziness kills me. Yeah, unique Sekar Kananthi. Laziness kills you. There's not a lot you can do. You've just got to grab your moments when you can. Something I do. You'll notice here. This little cup of coffee. Every single time I have what I call a kettle boiling practice session. I'll go and put the kettle on. We've got a slow kettle. And I'll just get the guitar set up, do a little bit of playing, and then when I hear the click and the kettle's ready and the water's boiled, I'll make myself a coffee. And when it's finished, like this one is, I've just poured it on the floor, the dregs there, then I know that I've at least done, 25 minutes, something like that. And I could move on if I want to. I'm actually going to keep playing now for a bit because I'm working on some Eric Johnson. But just grab your time when you can. Don't try and find 3 hours to sit down and practice, or it's not going to happen. Of course, it's not going to happen. Try and find 3 minutes to practice, and you'll have a lot better chance. Take care. Thanks for your comments, Unique Sekar, and comment down below with any questions about this video or anything you'd like to hear me talk about. Hopefully you found this one useful. See you in the next one then. Cheers. Keep practicing.